migrants reportedly arrested in New York City. As part of that major bust on Wednesday, the men are said to have ties to TDA, the violent Venezuelan gang, and the two are reported to be part of a group accused of threatening tenants at an apartment in Aurora, Colorado. Meanwhile, in Chicago, city officials warning its police officers to be careful when encountering suspected TDA members. Congressman Nick Langworthy on his take on the migrant crisis earlier this morning. Watch.
It is just a continuation of what we've seen time and again with the migrant crisis finding its way right on New York City's doorstep, and it's our sanctuary city policies of Kathy Hochul to blame. We have now we have a new series of questions is how did they end up in New York? Was this part of the failed Biden-Harris agenda?
We know what it was. We know exactly it was a part of the agenda. And I'm not sure if it failed, but it failed to get them reelected. But I'm not sure if it failed to actually execute on the agenda because we got tens of millions of illegal migrants and gang members over here that's not supposed to be here. And when you look at cities like Denver, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Houston, those were the safe havens and the places where they signed a letter to ultimately continue to advocate for and look for more resources from the federal government, Kamala Harris and Biden, to continue to fund this migrant crisis. And more importantly, you see a lot of these cities now in fiscal bankruptcy, basically facing a deficit and then trying to raise property taxes on the residents to pay for not only what they still have going on right now, but things that happened in the past over the last three years from this migrant crisis. And they will tell you, they'll try to act like, oh, no, nothing is happening, not a big deal. They tried to sell you on the idea that nothing was happening in Denver and Aurora and Chicago, even though police officers are dying and residents are suffering and taxes are high. And, because it really doesn't matter right now on a local level, now that Trump is in office, unless he executes on a federal mandate or he starts to withhold funds, unless they comply with what's going on the federal government and what most voters are asking for, because these Democratic strongholds in these blue cities are still holding strong to embrace something that's not best for the American people. And so what you basically see is resistance against things that's in the best interest of the people. And the people kind of deserve it because I tell y'all, it matters what happens on a local level just as much as what happens on a national level. But these very same people, they tried to act like, oh man, this story is just going to go away now that Trump is in office or the election is over. No, now that the adults is back, we are basically hunting down Tom Homan, and all of these people are basically going after the culprits. And you do have good people within those cities. Shout out to Chicago Red. Shout out to certain city council members that support what's going on. But all of these mayors and all of these governors and all of these people that are basically legislating against and supported this agenda need to be removed so that we can make America safe again.
Have team coverage. Mike Tobin standing by in Chicago with details on that warning. But first, CB Cotton is live in Manhattan with more on the major drug bust. CB?
Hi, Griff. Well, the two reported Tren de Aragua members were taken into custody as part of a major drug trafficking and credit card scam bust here in New York City, per the New York Post, which says Daniel Aramillo Menendez and Edilson Pena Angulo were two of 15 suspected Venezuelan gang members picked up during an early morning raid on Wednesday following a months-long investigation. The Post sharing this photo of the semi-automatic weapons, pistols, and ammo also found. Both Menendez and Angulo had active warrants in Aurora, Colorado on felony charges of first-degree burglary and menacing with a firearm for another incident, showing them and other men breaking into an Aurora apartment about 10 minutes before a fatal shooting. A local report says the men knocked on two apartments there and threatened residents. Aurora police said at the time the men had not been linked to any criminal gang, but the New York Post is now reporting from its sources that Angulo and Menendez not only somehow made their way here to New York City all the way from Colorado, but also the outlet says both men are TDA members who were involved in credit card fraud, violence, and selling heroin and fake weed here in New York City.
How are they getting all of this stuff? How did all of these guys start to make it across state lines. And when they got wanted and went viral in Denver and Aurora, Colorado, they decided that they wanted to head over to New York City and continue to do criminal activity over there. I'm telling you, man, the adults needed to get back in office.
Griff.
All right, TB Cotton live in New York. Thank you very much. Now, for the latest on the warning from Chicago police on Tren de Aragua, let's bring in senior correspondent Mike Tobin, who's live in Chicago with that part of this story. Mike, what are you seeing?
Well, Griff, what we've got is more indication that this gang, Tren de Aragua, is fortifying, increasing its numbers, and therefore getting more bold. Law enforcement, even in sanctuary cities like Chicago, knows it and knows the gang poses a threat. This officer safety alert went out to the rank and file in Chicago police over the summer. The intel generating the alert appears to have started with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, but it warned Chicago officers. It has been reported by multiple sources that members from the transnational criminal organization Tren de Aragua have been given a green light to fire upon or attack law enforcement personnel in Denver, Colorado. But in Chicago, officers are urged to use caution and tactical awareness when encountering someone who may have TDA affiliation. The Trump-affiliated think tank America First Legal found the alert as part of a dive they're doing into law enforcement documents.
Looks like from the latest DHS reports that they're in at least 16 U.S. states, right? And, you know, based on FBI's own National Gang Intelligence Center, there's thousands of them all across the Western Hemisphere.
That's crazy.
Now, it was the Biden administration that designated TDA a transnational criminal gang. Started in a Venezuelan prison, presence of this gang has popped up in 16 states, notably Texas, California, Illinois, and Florida. And some of the information dug up in those documents by America First Legal says Tren de Aragua graffiti has now been popping up in Chicago's glitzy shopping district, the Magnificent Mile, right behind me here.
And you have mayors, such as the mayor of Denver, saying that he's going to resist Tom Homan and federal officials from deporting people that do not or should not be here and came over here illegally and continue to commit the crimes that they're committing. Why is this something that's divided across party lines? Why is this something that people are actually fighting for? Because I'm confused. I don't understand it. I'm very much trying to understand it. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And I'm trying to, make sense of this whole thing of why y'all are advocating for somebody who has no ties to you. They're taking your resources out of your communities. It's costing y'all more money. Y'all cities is going down and basically going bankrupt. And then at the same time, they're taking up y'all resources and charging y'all more in property taxes to do so. And y'all still support this? Kamala Harris and Biden are still in office. I know that they're lame duck, but they still got to do their job, right? They still should be doing the thing that they supposed to do. I don't understand. Like, I can't just quit my job and still get paid. I'll still get removed. You still got to do your job for the American people. And if you really believe in what this country stands for, then they should have been doing their job the whole time. Also, what's stopping them? And that's the thing that they kept saying about Kamala Harris and Biden the entire time, Biden before her. They say, listen, if you're going to do these things and y'all in office right now, what's stopping you from doing so? I mean, I know you took a vacation over to Hawaii. You had to get your tears out, but there's people and there's cities and residents and Americans that are suffering every single day. And these gangs are still coming over here. Y'all still flying them over here. They still can get over here with the CBP app. And they still come, they still doing it. But Trump is he's already starting to take control of what's happening in federal government, negotiating with the president of Mexico, dealing with people over in Canada. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Teach Henley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. The best day to join the Patreon is today. It's the beginning of the month. It's going to be a great month. Also, on top of that, make sure you get your tickets. Come kick it with me in Detroit, December 14th. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you later. Peace.